that is a hand you don't want to see. Talk about an avalanche. Am I right?
Yeah, that's not exactly what Sigrist wants there. I don't think you can possibly keep that one, but Zachary's got a nice one there on the bottom.
Yeah, that is a much better looking hand there for Zachary Kiihne. Pretty happy to keep that. And this second hand here for Mike Sigrist is far better, as we have some early action. We got some ways to protect our important critters, as well as some removal in the Skyclave apparition, which you mentioned. So curious to see what goes back here. Looks like the good dog, the good boy, is going to the bottom of the library. But no, it is going to be one of the friends in the Alseed of Life's Bounty getting sent back.
Yeah, they're both play that similar role. There's not too much that you really want to make your creatures indestructible, except just inside of combat. You know, there's not any frostbites or anything like that that's actually dealing damage to the creatures to have Selfless Savior prevent. But either way, they still kind of do the same thing.
Now, here's always a tough decision on your turn one. Is it the dog first, or is it the nymph first? Which one comes down first?
I usually get the nymph down just because it is the lifelink threat, but it really is matchup dependent. If you're playing against a red deck and you're going to play like Luminarch Aspirant on turn 2, you'd want to play Selfless Savior to protect that. But in this matchup, doesn't matter that much.
Yeah, and Selfless Savior doesn't need the extra mana to protect anything. It's just like, whoops, I'm out of here. You stay indestructible. See you later.
Exactly.
But here we will see the Luminarch Aspirant come on down with the Alseed of Life's Bounty, as there isn't any like spot removal like you mentioned. No real worry about this living or dying. And Luminarch Aspirant's going to target itself, get the counter going, as a Giant Killer is the draw here for Zachary Kiihne, who has just pulled off what is possibly the best curve for this deck in going turn 1, protection spell, turn 2, Seasoned Hallowblade, turn 3, Maul of the Skyclaves, and has opted to put it on the Alseed instead of the 3-1. What do you think of that?
I like it because this matchup really just comes down to a race in a lot of different ways. So, I mean, a flying lifelinker, for anybody who remembers, you know, the dominance of Baneslayer Angel, pretty dang hard to, fight against by just normally attacking. So, I really like it. Normally, the just best play from these mono-white, aggressive decks is Seasoned Hollowblade, maul up the Seasoned Hollowblade, and it's just like, how are you going to kill that? And you're taking 5 each turn. It becomes quite the big clock. But here's what we're seeing from Sigrist that I was mentioning at the beginning. He's got 2 Skyclave apparitions here, and they are just going to be phenomenal here, netting him a creature as well as giving this huge tempo loss to Zachary Kiihne by making Zach pay 4 mana again to equip a Maul, if he so chooses.
Yeah, the Maul is great because it's one of the artifacts that come into the battlefield and immediately attach to a creature. You don't have to pay the equip cost for it. But as soon as it's taken off a creature, then it's like, oh, damn, do I take an entire turn off now just to re-equip this? Or would I rather get my Alseed and my Giant Killer down?
Yeah, and it becomes a huge tempo loss. So, you know, he's considering and decides to do it right now, where this is an excellent play most of the time. But if you have another Skyclave apparition and you can take the only creature from Zach Kiihne, you just feel real bad about your situation pretty quickly.
Yeah, things are looking super good here for Mike Sigrist now, as just having access to these Skyclave apparitions and, you know, getting around the ability of the Seasoned Hallowblade. Oh, sure, you can become indestructible, but you're not hexproof. You don't have protection. So I'm going to take you out if that's fine.
Exactly. I think I can speak for both of us, Ailey, that I'm very happy with not having hexproof as a keyword. I know one of our other coworkers, Maria, probably does not feel the same about that, but I think I can speak for 95% of Magic players that are okay that hexproof is not on that card as well.
Yeah, that would be a little nutty, I'd say.
Yeah.
But not firing off the Skyclave apparition there, instead opting for the Giant Killer.
Chop down the stream as well. Yep.
It did chop down the stream. It's so powerful. Such a powerful 1-mana card here. So forced it to tap, discards the Giant Killer, and will get the Alseed of Life's Bounty down instead to protect it for next time, but is opting to re-equip them all here on the Alseed.
Yeah, and a nice, interesting play there from Sigrist, recognizing that the Giant Killer is going to make Zach discard a card as well as tap down the Hollowblade, and then you have the Skyclave apparition next turn when you have a full, clear picture of what is in Zachary's hand and now battlefield, because Zachary is hellbent, as we see.
Oh, yes. So the one thing that the mono-white deck isn't super good at doing is keeping cards in hand, as Seasoned Hallowblade likes to use those to discard and keep it safe, keep it protected. But now we're seeing a situation where Mike Sigrist is just going, all right, all face, let's go. He is in the driver's seat and looking to bring this one home.
Yep. And we just saw from turn 2 for Sigrist. Oh, GG. We just saw from Sigrist that Luminarch Aspirant on turn 2 accrued 5 power. Just naturally by itself. So that is something where Zach really needed a Skyclave Apparition, or, we see in the sideboard these glass caskets that we'll probably see coming in. You just can't let that card, I'm going to say it again, snowball out of control in these snow mirrors, because it really does just run away with the game pretty quickly.
It does indeed. So in sideboard, in a mirror match, what do you think the players are going to look towards? I can imagine that we're going to see Archon of Absolution coming in, as it is protected from white, puts a tax on the combat steps. What do you see?
Yeah, definitely Archon of Absolution. That card is just unbelievable. And these post-board games could easily just come down to who draws that card. It is just one of these insanely high impact sideboard cards that we don't usually see from standard. It's usually from modern that you see these Rest in Peace, Stony Silence, these really high impact cards. But there's quite a few of them in standard. So Archon and Glass Casket seem like the only for sure auto inclusions to me. And I guess this last pick draft common of Scalding Cauldron comes in as well.
Scalding Cauldron, certainly something we haven't seen in a while, but both players are ready to rock and roll. Selfless Savior and Luminarch Aspirant down on the battlefield. Zachary Kiihne off to a very good start here. Also having Redain, God of the Worthy, available to him to shut down or just to stifle the mana generation here for Mike Sigrist, as she does cause the Snowlands to enter tapped.
Yep, exactly. And one funny thing with the Cauldron that they are sideboarding, Paulo Vitor and Zachary Kiihne were talking that this was the worst card they have ever submitted in a constructed deck of their career. But it makes sense. You can't deal with Archon of Absolution with basically any card from these mono white decks. So it's the only thing that can actually answer them. So pretty funny little fact on that.
That's great. I love it. But we do see here Seasoned Hallowblade down on the battlefield, unable to get the Faceless Haven in untapped to get Skyclave Apparition going. And now Zachary Kiihne is just putting foot and going to swing in here for 6 points of damage and try and get this game over before these Skyclaves make an impact on this match.
Exactly. And we just see Zachary being on the play here, trying to make this as aggressive as possible. And Sigrist has the perfect draw on the draw, which is a lot of Skyclave Apparitions. Missing the Archon of Absolution is probably the only other thing that Sigrist would really want, but still a very strong draw on the draw.
So now a decision to make here. Do we go for Redain and protect in the air, or are we just going straight for the Skyclave Apparitions back to back and try and get these threats off the battlefield?
Yeah, it's definitely a 3-drop here, but Skyclave Apparition seems like a slam dunk to me. We'll see what Mike decides on. But the real question for me is just, what are we hitting? All of the cards have some justification here. You can hit Maul, you can hit Selfless Savior, or Raiden here. It really is pretty open. I like this again. Mike Sigrist is choosing to tempo out Zachary Kiihne and say, if you want to equip that Maul again, I might just hit your last creature and make it really hard to attack. So a nice play there from Sigrist.
Yeah, and Redain doesn't need the evasion, does have flying, won't get in for as much damage as Zachary Kiihne would like to. Now, a interesting decision for himself as well. There is a Seasoned Hallowblade, which would look really good in that glass casket. But first things first, let's get in there for 2 points of damage, fire off his own Seasoned Hallowblade, and then the glass casket, possibly leaving the snow-covered plains in hand there just to protect the Hallowblade.
Yep, I like that. And another decision of what to glass casket from Zachary's side. And it's just tough. These aggro mirrors really come down to these really minor decisions here. And so both players definitely have to think out their options here.
Yeah, opts to go for the Seasoned Hallowblade. Stickier threat to deal with, so that's now off the battlefield. Snow-covered plains is the draw for Sigrist, who's looking to fire off that second Skyclave Apparition, but just pausing for a second to think it through. Redain obviously won't allow the 5th mana to come in untapped, so he's only got 4 to work with this turn.
Yeah, and that's one of the big decisions that I think Sigrist is thinking about before he plays one of these snowlands, is to take out Redain with Skyclave Apparition, and that would allow him to be able to play Luminarch Aspirin. But, then Sigrist is just thinking to himself, is that Maul the Skyclave plus Season Hollowblade going to get out of hand? Because us with Perfect Information don't really see another answer to that combo, and Sigrist is not at that healthy of a life total here. That's only 8 points, so I don't know if Sigrist has the room to make that play, but we'll see what he does.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tricky decision here to be made. Yep. That Maul of the Skyclaves is certainly something that can just get out of hand and win the game on the spot, especially if there is a Helvar on top of the battlefield. But Skyclave comes on down, is eyeing out the Maul, and decides that that is the biggest threat on the battlefield right now. So won't be able to get down the Luminarch Aspirant this turn, but will protect face for an extra turn.
I like this play a lot. It just really means that Sigrist can deploy both of his threats next turn, put a counter on the flyer to be able to play a little defense against Zachary's flyer. But yeah, this is a ton of damage coming in.
Yeah, and the Skyclave Apparitions, as good as they are, you're certainly not wanting to block with them, as you do give a creature back to your opponent. Granted, it's not the creature that it once was. These cute little spirit or elementals that come out of them. But it just adds more pressure onto the battlefield. So Mike Sigrist is in a lot of trouble at this point.
Yep, he really is. 2 life is not where you want to be at, with essentially 3 lethal attackers next turn from Zachary Kiihne. So, Sigrist can create that many blockers. So he's not just dead right now, but one great draw off the top could really close this out by taking out the other flyer from Sigrist.
Well, let's see what that is. We do have Faceless Haven active and ready to rock and roll for Zachary Kiihne. And the counter going on to Redain, which I like a lot. So that'll be able to kill the opposing Redain. And it's just a snow-covered plain. So nothing super exciting. Faceless Haven will get in for some damage here. Otherwise, there is the option of getting Lurrus out, but nothing in the bin for it to bring back just yet.
Yeah, right now this definitely looks just like a stabilized board from Sigrist's perspective here, and that's all he's been trying to do all game. I know Sigrist would have really liked to stabilize with a couple more life points, but still looking pretty good here. The only attacker, never mind. We're getting busy.
I mean, if not, why not, right?
Exactly.
This is my kind of swing.
This is nice because this does force Skyclave Apparition to get in front of one of the lethal attackers, which just nets Zachary Kiihne another 3/3 here. So, yeah, this is a great attack.
Yeah. It's like, all right, we're at the point now where my mana stifling isn't really doing anything for you, so I need to kill you as quick as I can. Get through that 1 point of damage. You don't have any way to keep your things alive, so things are still looking really good here for Zachary.
Just Faceless Haven has just changed the dynamic of these hyper-aggressive decks in so many ways. Not even the ways, in these aggressive mirrors, but up against Wrath of God effects from other decks, being able to not overextend into a sweeper. It's just really added a nice element to make these aggro decks viable again, which is something we haven't really seen outside of Gruul Adventures last season.
Yeah. And here we go. 4 attackers swinging on in. Sigrist can bring his Faceless Haven to life, but all that is needed is 1 more point of damage to face, and no life link on Sigrist's side either. So it's going to end up taking the lethal points of damage here, and we're going to go to game number 3.
Yeah, well played there by Zachary to win a game that didn't seem like it seemed like he was running out of steam there, but was able to just play tight, pick his spots when he could, and pull over the finish line. So nice play there by Zachary.
Yeah. So game number 3 is going to be interesting to see how we go through that, what happens. We are going to take a very short break, and when we come back, we're going to see how this one plays out.
Don't be afraid, won't let you fall, girl. Don't be afraid, won't let you fall, girl.
Welcome back to coverage here of the Kaldheim League weekend. We are watching Mike Sigrist and Zachary Kiihne go at it with Mono White Aggro. This is the new Snow White variant with Faceless Haven and Helvar being added to the mix and providing a very, very powerful deck indeed. So I'm very excited to see these guys playing this deck. It is one of my favorites to emerge from New Standard, and I know there's no Yorion or anything like that, Corey, but we'll get there, I'm sure. But it's great to see these decks in action.
Yeah, I really do love a good aggro deck. Don't get me wrong. My heart is truly with Yorion, but it's a close second behind that. And, Mike Sigrist is also a close person to my heart as well. One of his stats in his bio was that he once fooled Brad Nelson's father, my dad, into thinking that he was indeed Brad, which was an absolutely hilarious story where Mike Sigrist was holding up Scott Rubin after he won a pro tour, and my dad messages him and be like, really nice of you to hold up your buddy like that, even after beating you at an event. And he's like, that's Mike Sigrist, Dad. It was impressive stuff.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
I mean, your brother's kind of growing out his hair, so just make it longer, and then they won't tell them. They'll be able to tell them apart. Let's see.
Fulsome, handsome gentleman, that's for sure. Yep.
Hell yeah. All right, so both players with a clutch full of cards here, and some interesting decisions to be made. What do you see happening in this next turn, Corey?
Yeah, so we're looking at Mike's situation here, and Mike is just deciding which creature to remove with either Skyclave or Glass Casket, or if you just want to get Raydon down and try to stem the aggression of Zachary a little bit here. But I would think that Mike wants to be the aggressor being on the play, and not having a ton of action, still has a decent amount of stuff in hand, but really wants to close out this game before Zachary can deploy Luris, get that kind of value going.
Yeah.
Or even Maul on as lead here. So.
And it's the perfect time to do it too, with no mana up to protect against the Glass Casket. LC just watches 6 damage fly on through. Zachary Kiihne is down to 8, finds a Skyclave apparition of his own. But at this point, is it too little too late?
Yeah, Skyclave Apparition was a great draw. I think one of the options you can do is taking the Glass Casket to get another creature back, or dealing with, you can basically kill one of a couple things to get creatures, either their Skyclave Apparition or Glass Casket to get another body to be able to block. But then that Luminarch Aspirant, like we're going to see at the beginning of combat here, is still going to be getting work done and adding more and more power to the battlefield.
Yeah, it's just trading resources here and removal spells, as we're going to see potentially the second Skyclave Apparition come down here from Mike Sigrist, eyeing out another Luminarch Aspirant, maybe even just to get these attackers bigger than the blockers. But we are going to see the Skyclave Apparition come on down and pick its mark in the Seasoned Hallowblade.
Yep, and Seasoned Hallowblade being the main one you want to kill here, because other than that, you can put a counter on your 1/1, and then you can attack with everything into Zachary Kiihne's battlefield. And that's the main thing, is you want to just make sure if you lose a creature, so does Zachary here, just the kind of position you want to be in. And Seasoned Hallowblade discarding one of the cards and getting to save itself is not what you want to be attacking into.
Yeah, for sure. So here we see a full swing with everything. Even the Seed of Life's Bounty at 1 power is going to get in on the action. And we're going to see a double block here on the Skyclave Apparition to get a creature back in for 6 more damage. Down to 3 now with the life gain. And Luris of the Dream Den is going to come on down and try and help out a little bit here with the Seed coming back.
That was pretty big. 4 power worth of lifelink here. If Sigrist has another exile effect, Or the ever-powerful Scalding Cauldron.
Cauldron. Let's just call it a Scaldron. How's that?
A Scaldron. I like
There
that.
we
I
go.
like that. It's about time we talk about that card on coverage. I think outside of a limited event, it probably hasn't gotten any camera time ever. So.
No, it's like, this is our time to shine, but is this game just over right here, right now, as we do have a plethora of attackers coming in here from Mike Sigrist, just finding out where to put these two more counters. As you said, though, we do have the life gain, so effectively at 7 is Zachary Kiihne.
And the 2/2 illusion is actually pretty awkward here because the LC could just give protection from white to one of the creatures and swing in for the win, but that play is not available with having one of the illusions.
We did see an oops there from Sigrist. What is the oops for, I wonder?
Not attacking with the 1/1, I guess. Yeah, protection here is nice, saving the Skyclave.
Also,
right.
not giving any life there to Luris as the no damage is dealt, and just finding the Maul of the Skyclave, Zachary Kiihne, overpowered there by the snowballing attack of Mike